Please let me introduce you our project manager, Juan David Diaz. He will explain deeper all the things that we did in this project.
Patricio, thank you very much. Well, we're talking about a bank that's doing collaboration from projects that come from everywhere in the company. I think that's very new in financial industries. And the challenge when we started the project almost a year ago was that in less than 7 months, we had to implement over 19,000 people in 6 countries. And this was made able because the commitment from the leading team in DaVivienda transformed the way that they approached the project. This was also enabled because of the technology that we use in G Suite to deploy really fast all the tools that people needed, very intuitive tools with high security through the whole countries. And although these numbers are very interesting, the approach and the challenge that was made to the team was not an approach of tools, but an approach of people and processes, Patricio told us before. So the leadership team of DaVivienda established 6 main use cases that were orientated to transform the way people worked and how the organization collaborated. Those were the strategies that were the top-bottom strategies. So one of them was the sales performance model, the digital support, self-learning, project management, digital workflows, and effective meetings. Especially in big organizations, these are really important challenges. People lose a lot of time in meetings. The way the salespeople interact, and not only with clients, but between them, so they can have the best practices from team to team, are really important to give the best customer service all the way through the organization. And as Patricio told us before in the transformation of DaVivienda, one of the use cases was the sales performance model. This model started as a prototype in G Suite. And as one of the main differentiations between traditional approaches in this type of projects is that you have to have the whole project mapped down to the end completely. Here, DaVivienda started with a prototype approach. So they started prototyping in G Suite very easily and fast with the team that designed the sales model. And then they took it to the first office. They got feedback from that office and started to scale it to more office. So they went from 1 office, 3, 10 offices. And around 10 offices, there were like around 60 people that were giving feedback, end users that were giving feedback on top of G Suite. So we didn't have to start developing a very costly application, time-consuming, but in a couple of weeks, we had over 50 people using the first prototypes. When they started to see the value in those prototypes, we scaled it to 100 offices. We were talking about 600 people using some prototypes built on G Suite, using spreadsheets, using sites, and different tools from the G Suite. So when we started to see, and the salespeople started to see the difference between the old models and the new model, they started to ask for and accelerate this deployment. And the offices started to raise their hands and ask for that model. So what happened was that when we saw that this was the model that the people needed, we started to scale it through Google Cloud really fast. And in less than 2 months after that prototype was launched for the first 50 offices, we had already developed a full app on Google Cloud Platform that will be scalable to the whole bank. So in less than 6 months, not only did we develop a solution that didn't exist before, but we also helped increase in 15% the sales of those people. More than 6,000 people were touched and impacted on this prototype that was scaled afterwards to Google Cloud Platform. But the most important thing was all the customers that were transformed and that had better services through those changes that were really fast implemented into the bank. So right now, more than 600 offices are working with this prototype, over 6,000 commercial sales team people. We're talking about more than 83 million in new sales that have been done. And one of the most important things is that the projects that were the best practices that were lost before now could be scaled through the whole organization. So we have almost 37,000 projects that had been scaled through the use of G Suite and then through Google Cloud Platform. The second strategy that we did in the project was, as Patricio told us, the bottom-top approach. So this was made through the transformation office. I think all of us here next have seen the amount of development and all the new applications that can develop through the cloud. And what the leadership team in Davivienda established was that no single person could ever do this alone. They need the whole bank to do the transformation of the purpose that they had. So what we did was implement this transformation office that had a couple of purposes. One of them was to channelize all the different initiatives that people started to have with G Suite tools. The second was to scale those actions or those initiatives that were developed. So in less than 4 months, more than 200 success stories were implemented. And one of those, I was a direct beneficiary of one of those success stories. I was here in San Francisco using a credit card. I didn't know by that time that our team was developing that solution because they start growing at a speed and a very fast. So what happened? I put one of my I did a transaction. I saw that I didn't do it. I contact through the app of Davivienda that Patricio showed us what happened to the people in the support. I didn't do this transaction. They blocked it. And in a record time, they returned the money to my account. And the change was that the process was, before it was a linear process, when the support team got the request from the client, then send it to another person, and to another person, to another person. And in some part of the process, it started to slow down. It was a linear process. With the transformation of Davivienda, it started to be a collaborative process. And that way, the times were reduced significantly. So the efficiency the bank has, in the last 6 months it has implemented this strategy, is almost reaching the $3 million, and we're just starting. The work hours that people are saving through this type of change in mindset is amazing. Almost 13,000 hours that are not spent in linear process and reprocesses again, but into change, into collaboration. That's the power of G Suite between the people. And with the power of Google Cloud, we could scale those success stories very fast through the whole bank. So some of the success stories of this transformation office is, for example, a map to have all the information of each one of the offices through the whole bank. So if something happened, or they wanted to deploy a new image of the bank, or they wanted to update or do some physical infrastructure changes of the different offices, where were the plans of each one of the new offices? Those were challenging problems they had in physical and boxes. They digitalized every one of those plans and architectural blueprints, and each one of the people started to uploading to a site, a Google site. The people that were in charge of this area developed themselves. They didn't have to go to technology, they didn't have to go to operations for them to develop, but they themselves did the solutions. The users did the solutions. What technology did was enable all of them so they could do all this innovation. Retirement interviews, for example, so they could know why were the causes the people were leaving the bank. So people from HR got really valuable insights from this type of information. We developed dashboards that were connected between G Suite, Google Cloud, using Data Studio to visualize all this data. So that managers could have the same data, all of them. Because what usually happens, what Patricio was telling us, we had silos. So one area of the bank had one information, the other area of the bank had another information. The head, the leadership team had information, the operation people had another information. And this is the challenge that bigger the organization, the biggest the challenges. So everybody was aligned in the same type of information. We also used Connect. There was a site also developed to connect all the Salesforce team members, all the people in all the team members that were in touch with the customers, so they could deploy the best practices they had. We use Hangouts in Google Meet to change the way the different teams interacted. So the different regions, 6 countries, it was a challenge. There were a lot of money that were lost in trips and airlines. But not only the money, also the time that people spend trying to connect from one place to another. The corporate meetings, when they had to do with all the people from different areas, everything changed, and now they start to connect constantly on a daily basis. We'll still have conventions where people gather physically, but that cannot happen weekly on basis. It can happen on an annual basis. And this has changed the dynamic, and now people are more connected. It's all about the people that before were completely disconnected, they worked differently, and at the end, the customer experienced that disconnection. And this has helped significantly people to connect inside the bank and give better customer service to all of Davivienda's clients. So the numbers, what are the numbers? Because, well, this sounds very nice, but what is the data behind all of this? So first, these are independent graphs. So the first, 60% of all the 19,000 people are creating documents on Google Docs. And this is a financial institution we're talking about. Don't forget about it. Usually we use traditional spreadsheets to do information because, we think G Suite tools are not up to the challenge. Well, 60% of the people in the bank are already creating information that is collaborative. More than half of the people are sharing those informations and those documents that are created by other people. So the culture is changing fast and is changing each day even faster. And the people that create, and then they share it, then they start to actually engage in each one of the documents and collaborate on them. This presentation is one of those examples. I think physically we met only once, and it was just outside the conference room a couple of hours before to do this presentation, just like to get aligned completely. And more than 10 people participated in this presentation without a single physical meeting. And of course, not only everybody has the opportunity to share or collaborate, but also to view the information for those who only have to view it. So people are actually engaging in G Suite in an institution that traditionally is a regulated institution and is not very easy with this type of documents. But not only the final statistics, but how fast they evolve. In the last 30 days, this is a month from today, people are collaborating each time faster. The rates of the green line, that are people who are creating it, has doubled, has almost doubled. And the purple line, that's the people who didn't engage in the documents at all. In the last 30 days, it has dropped by half. So what we're seeing now is that this is a momentum that's creating inside the organization, that each time more people are engaged into solutions, more people are willing to collaborate and to share their opinions. And this is very important because in the transformation office, people are starting to get visibility that before they didn't have. And now, also in the annual convention, there's a prize for people who innovate and impact the whole organization through G Suite. And then when it's a very interesting project and it gets the visibility to the leadership team, they can scale it and they can put their resources in Google Cloud Platform to scale it, because maybe a prototype, anybody in the organization can do it, but then when we have to scale it to the whole organization, we need backup from specialized teams, data scientists, architects, other people. And that's where the leadership can have the visibility to transform the whole bank. In other numbers, as we were talking before, there are almost $3 million in savings in the last 6 months only with small initiatives. More than 13,000 hours the people are saving times. And also the time in meetings has decreased significantly, because people are now collaborating and having meetings through documents, and they don't have to meet physically every time you have to have a presentation or you have to do a document, a spreadsheet. Also, the pipeline and the sales of the organization have increased significantly from the moment we started a project till today. And the good news is we're just starting. So we definitely boosted our people with positive energy and impact. People are now empowered. Everybody in the organization can have the possibility to impact the whole bank, no matter what are their areas and no matter where their position in the organization. And this gives people the feeling that they have a difference, that they make a difference in the day-to-day work. So we're very happy, and we see the energy in all the people and through all the whole organization, where a bank is no longer considered an old organization, but it's a digital organization, not only to the clients with apps, but also inside the bank, where people can collaborate from any device, from anywhere, in any document. So we want to show you this video that can illustrate the people that have been transformed with this project of Davivienda Go. No, that's the one before it.
Davivienda Go es más que un reto, una oportunidad de podernos modernizar, tanto como banco, también como persona. Es un programa que nos va a llevar a estar a la vanguardia de la tecnología.
Mi nombre es Lady Go.
Ahora que tenemos Lady Go.
Muchas gracias, ingeniero. Un aplauso para él.
Como decía, de transformación, de innovación, ¿verdad? Que nos va a impulsar y a meter de lleno en todo este mundo digital.
So this is the impact we had in the people emotionally, because people were now part of the solution, of the transformation of their whole organization, no matter what was their role in it. So thank you very much for being here today with us, and it will be a pleasure to tell you more about it.